JANSON Radio Podcast. Hi everybody. Kita still at Gelato Secrets di Como Park, and they serve natural gelato, very awesome, and they are very kind people. Let us do the podcast here, and now we are with Tariq Widarso. He's the mixologist. Describe yourself. You're a mixologist, high school teacher. What else do you do?
I'm quite a few things. So I'm a high school teacher first and foremost. I would say I'm a mixologist. Like I'm a home mixologist. So like everything that I learned at home, and like learning from scratch. Not really working at a bar itself. I also do social media content, anything about bars and cocktails. I'm a photographer as well for bars and cocktails. So a lot of the drinks industry, that's where I'm at.
Okay.
Yeah.
So first question, how is a high school teacher can become a mixologist while also teaching? Isn't it contradicting?
I don't think it's contradicting. I think
the other teachers disapprove, or?
No, I think it's more tiring.
Yeah.
But in terms of the school that I teach at, and the students and parents, they are aware of what I do, because the social media sphere, Instagram is all very open. So like none of my profiles are private. I have to keep things public, but it's also the things that I'm doing with alcohol are not irresponsible, right?
Yeah.
It's like trying to show like a responsible way of drinking, and like a lot of the content that I do, there is no photos of people being drunk. There is none of that. So like that negative side of alcohol doesn't come out. So I think that's how I'm allowed to do it. Because if I wasn't allowed to do it, then I wouldn't be able to, continue doing this.
What subject do you teach?
I teach I teach in an IB school. So I teach grade 9 and grade 10.
Grade 9, grade 10.
I teach history and sociology.
Wow. Heavy stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
Did you major in history and sociology?
Yeah, I actually studied anthropology.
Okay.
So
awesome.
I studied about people, and I like working with people. A lot of that experience and that whole social sphere of science is quite important, and I feel it's quite important now. That's where I'm at.
You must learn a lot about the history and all the gastronomic side of the cocktails and alcohol world.
Yeah, I think because of my background, when I started getting into this, I learned where gin was, on the story of the gin and tonic. There's a lot. I think as humans, we really like stories. So every time when there's a cocktail or there's a bartender and you attach a story to them, then it humanizes it, and it makes it more relatable.
Yes.
Right, and I think because of my background, I was able to do that easily. It was interesting to me. So then I can share the story. Of course.
Yeah. And you need, if you want to sell a product, you need to do a backstory. It's part of marketing as well, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've worked with some brands before, and definitely I would do a lot more extra research about the brand, about the story, because that's what sells.
Okay.
In terms of flavor, the hard part is trying to get people to drink it.
Yes.
Right. So how do you get people to drink it? You give them a story. You kind of tell them where it's from, the kind of intricacies and the stories behind it, and that. That is what gets people in the door. Yeah. And once you get them in the door, then it's easier, right?
And what do you think about the cocktail drinking culture in Jakarta?
In Jakarta, I think I've had a lot to think about this, because so I grew up here, and I was in middle school and high school, and I remember I was at the age where we had Splash in Kemang.
Yeah.
There's it was like a beer garden style drinking like that, and we drank. There was a lot of underage drinking in that time, but
of course,
but I think there wasn't any education, because parents don't talk about it. Parents don't want to talk about alcohol. It's very taboo, and that doesn't create a very safe drinking environment, because then the children, or when they're teenagers, they just drink without any knowledge.
Yeah.
Right. So because of that, we have it's growing, the cocktail culture, but I think the terms of education and them actually knowing what they're drinking is not there. And because alcohol is very expensive, we cannot explore and experiment easily. Do you want to experiment on something that's 150,000 plus, right? I mean, in terms of the tax.
Yeah, it's hard.
And it's growing. A lot more people are getting interested in it. That's why I can do what I can do.
A lot of speakeasy bar Not really speakeasy, but the concept like speakeasy bar, like serve really good cocktails, right?
Yeah, I mean, I would say there are a lot more than there used to be. There are a lot more groups and companies that are willing to invest in those concepts, and it's because there are people who want to drink.
So, what exactly did you do? Like, did you pop up bars, like? Like bar takeover or?
So in terms of like Sip Sensei, right?
Yeah.
Like in terms of that. So I started Sip Sensei on a whim because I wanted to do something with the alcohol industry, and it was a passion of mine.
Yeah.
So I liked making at home I would make cocktails. When I had friends over, I would like make them drinks and like play around with different flavors. So when I first started doing this, I started on Instagram because I loved photography. You know, I do a lot of photography now, and I decided, look, I want to do drink photography, and let me post it on Instagram.
Okay.
And I just posted because I was hoping people would see, oh, this is a beautiful drink, this is a beautiful bar, I want to go there. And then it got more attention because then I got closer to the bar industry. And so I think I did a lot of like gigs for friends.
Yeah.
You know, I would bartend for like a friend's party, and we do private events, maybe 30 people. The most I had was 60, and I almost died that night, but that was that was an experience. And so more that now this past year I've done a couple workshops, cocktail workshops, cocktail photography workshops. I've done a couple, like I've done a food pairing dinner, I've done dessert pairing before, you know, so it's a lot of work, you know, trying to get to the consumers, trying to get to the customers through food and drink.
Okay, that's nice. And what is the last project? What is it?
The last project I had was I worked with Lume. Yeah. So I worked with Chef Nicola.
Suryo, right?
Yeah. So
Chef Nicola, right?
Yeah. So I worked with Chef Nicola, and what we did was he made a 3-course Italian dinner. So it was appetizer, pasta, and the dessert. Yeah. So I made the drinks to pair with it. To accompany it. So, you know, like the Italian style of drinking, you have an aperitif to help your body digest in the beginning, and then you have something to kind of pair with the pasta to make sure, you know, like the flavors come out, and it's like a better experience. And then like dessert. So we had limoncello as dessert.
Limoncello. Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, so like that was the last project I had.
Okay. And how do you start? Because I'm still a little bit confused about you're not fluent in Indonesia, but you're Indonesian.
Yes.
Your name has Widarso in it, so it's like a Japanese name. Yeah. So what's your background? Okay, so
actually this comes out a lot, especially because whenever I start teaching like a new class, they don't think I'm Indonesian. You know, they would think I'm like Filipino because there are a lot of Filipino teachers. I think it started because my mother is Malaysian and my dad's Indonesian, so a bit diverse in that aspect. So when we were at home, we spoke a lot of English because that's what my mother was comfortable with, and that's what I mean. And I went to a National Plus school, so we spoke English. Yes. And so a lot of that came out. What a lot of people don't know is that I had a speech impediment when I was younger. So I had a stutter. Okay. So like when you want to speak and your brain wants to say it, but you won't say it. So I had to get speech therapy. Okay. So I had speech therapy in English. In English. So that worked. I didn't get it in Indonesian, so it became hard for me to speak Indonesian because I want to say something, but it wouldn't come out. Still stutter. Okay. And of course, you know, you're with your friends. Your friends make fun of you, so then you stop speaking Indonesian. Yeah. So I only used it in terms of utility whenever I needed to speak Indonesian. Yeah. And went to university in the US, and then, you know, so like a lot of that affected me. But definitely now I am trying, and I'm trying to, you know, speak more Indonesian because I'm working with a lot of bartenders. Yeah. And English is not their first language. No. They're not very comfortable with it. So I try my best, but I also take it as an opportunity to kind of force them to speak English. Because in an international sphere, you need to be able to speak English of course. Operate. Indonesian is great, and like that's important, and that's a huge part of heritage. Yeah. But you need to speak a different language to be able to communicate with the world. Yes. Yeah. And like, okay, the 50 Best Bar. Yeah. Now it's just come out, like when did it start, the 50 Best Bar? If you're asking me about the history of it, I'm not too familiar with it, but in terms of Asia's best bars, I think they're on their 4th or 5th. Which one is number one? Is there anything in Indonesia? Well, so this year in Asia's 50 best bars,
Yeah.
because like we have the world 50 best bars, but then we
Yes.
have Asia.
Mm.
So in Asia's 50 best bars this year, we have only one bar, which is Union Plaza Senayan.
Okay. Wow. Congrats. Congrats.
I think I got
Which
that right.
number?
I'm pretty sure. You are asking me things that I have forgotten already. There are about 40 something.
40 something. Well, congrats to
Something,
Union.
which
Congrats
is-
to Union.
yeah.
Kiki Mocha, right?
Yes.
The head
I
bar,
really
right?
hope I didn't get this
Oh
wrong.
my.
Because the year before we had Potato Head Beach Club and we had Lowy as
Yeah.
well and Union. So right now we only have Union
Okay.
there. So I don't definitely with that number they're not gonna break into the Asia's in the
The
world's
world,
50
of
best
course.
bars. But I think we have some very strong contenders for at least for the next in 2 years. I would expect more Indonesian bars to be up there.
Which one? Anything in Jakarta?
Uh,
Well, Union, their cocktail are great, man.
Yeah,
Union.
so Union is a force that has been there for so long,
Yes.
and they have the reputation. So
Yeah.
like the names there, and especially with the bar team, with Kiki, Bule,
Yeah.
Upai, Eric. I mean, like all of these guys they are the legacy, right?
Yes.
But in terms of new bars, I think a strong contender could be just knowing the people behind it and knowing
Yeah.
what they're planning to do with it. It's AA Bar.
A bar. Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
heard it's awesome.
It's one of the Inspire projects, and I really
Yeah.
love their cocktail menu and the concept behind it. And like they don't compromise on their quality because
Yeah.
they are trying to push cocktails. So bottles there are more expensive because they
course,
want people
yeah.
to.
That's
buy
why.
cocktails.
That's why I never tried it because like, careful, it's expensive. Okay.
I mean, like a drink there is about 150,000.
Whatever.
But in terms of
But even their house pour is like a premium cocktail, right?
yeah,
I heard.
Yeah. So I mean, you are paying for quality.
Yeah.
And like that is important, and knowing the people that were behind the menu and how it's been evolving, you're paying for quality.
Okay.
So like
Yeah.
I would pay 150,000 for a drink from there because
Yes, of
I
course.
know it's good.
And for someone who is so passionate about cocktails and alcohol, obviously,
Yeah.
why you never decide to like, okay, like I want to try to work in a bar? Is it the language?
No, I don't think it's the language. I think it's partly. I feel like this is not to diss the bars in Indonesia, but I feel if I were going to work in a bar, I want to do it abroad. Just,
Okay.
I mean, like you have like, for example, Singapore has a very strong bar
Drinking culture.
as well.
Yeah.
But like, there's so much that I can learn from
Yeah.
there because. I mean, I'm learning so much from just coming to the bars here, and
Okay.
I'm not saying that the bars here are not any good, but I'm just saying that if I'm gonna go and commit myself into this industry in that way, I want to grow in a certain way, which I might not be able to get here. I wanna
it's quite similar when in the kitchen world.
Yeah,
it's quite similar.
Yeah,
it's hard to find, like especially trying to find like a good mentor that can guide you, like every step, since you're like like a cooking, like a cook.
Absolutely.
It's really hard to find it here. Like a lot of my friends also like choose to go abroad. Then after that, if to find out the market, then you work here for a while before opening your own. Are you planning?
Well, I mean, I think because I've been doing this for 2 years, and about this year, I kind of decided I think I won't go into the industry as a bartender.
Yeah.
Because there are thousands, millions of bartenders who are better than me.
Yeah.
Because they have the experience and they know the bar operations, and they are just. I mean, like that is their life.
Yeah.
Like that is their job. So I think this year I kind of decided that I wanted to go more into how do I support the bar industry. So do it through social media, do it through workshops, do it through targeting consumers, because just based on the person that I am, I think I'm a lot better at going straight to consumers and trying to educate them.
Yeah. And you know a lot about people too because you're anthropology, right?
Yeah, and I'm a high school teacher, so like I know. I mean,
Exactly.
I have the basics of how to teach people, especially when you teach teenagers. Adults are not too different.
Have you ever met one of your students
at the bar? I'm not gonna call out the bars because these kids shouldn't be there. But I run into them here and there, and
it's like
it's like that. But it's also like I don't scold them because it's not my place to scold them. Their parents should be doing it, and if I scold them, then they will hide. it. And I think it's good for them to have some kind of adult who's aware of these things. And if there's there's an emergency and there's like some kind of problem, then at least they might reach out to you.
And like, for me, like cocktail scene in Jakarta just maybe started like what 4 years ago. Like before that, I mean, still now the majority of people drinking, they just want to get drunk.
Yeah, it's binge drinking. And when I first came back to Indonesia after I was in uni and I started working, you start making a salary and then you can spend your own money. I got drunk a lot. I mean, like that happened especially before I started working as a high school teacher. Within that 6 months, going by places like Amigos on Monday.
Amigos.
There's a very funny story about Fable, but we're not gonna go there.
Fable.
Yeah. So I mean, like that happened, but I quickly got over it because I think it was also a money thing because it's expensive.
Yes.
I want to pay for quality, and I want to get quality. It's the same like with food too, right? If you're gonna pay 200,000 for anything,
it better be good.
Right?
And what do you think about the future of the cocktail industry here?
The future of the cocktail industry is, I think it's growing. Right now, I believe the cocktail industry is here. So like say it's growing, but the customers and the consumers are still underneath.
Maybe.
In terms lower, and I think that's just because they're not too comfortable and they're not too knowledgeable about it, and like I can't blame them because they don't.
No, it's not. It's not in our culture. Like firstly, right? Because it's hard. You know, we usually like hibiki. The liquor. Like when I was working in the restaurant company, I was the director FnB there. Hibiki is so cheap. Because nobody will buy it. It's like 800,000 for a bottle. Wow. But when not everybody noticed, it becomes so expensive. I don't know. We didn't even got it now. It's really rare, right? The Hibiki 12.
Yeah, and I think that was also a proponent of people starting to just buy things because it's expensive. Because I know a lot of people, and especially the older generation, they will only drink something. If you say 25-year-old, then they'll be like, "Oh, I want to buy it because
like
it's expensive." Honestly, I like whiskeys that are in the 18-year-old range because it tastes, in terms of the way that how long it's been aged. It's to me, it tastes better. But like the future of the bar industry and the cocktail culture here is growing. I think with more bars and restaurants starting to kind of support it and try to work on it rather than just selling bottles, it is going to grow because people are going to get introduced to it. They are going to get more comfortable with it. And especially the next generation, like when we have kids, they will also be like, oh, okay, this is less of a taboo. It's more about, okay, this is a normal thing. Because I want drinking to be normal, but not like binge drinking, but
just to enjoy, to enjoy, get the conversation flowing. And,
I rarely drink to get drunk anymore because as you grow older, it sucks. And like, I work on weekdays and I have to wake up at 5:30 in the morning to get to work. So it's painful, right? Yeah.
What do you enjoy drinking?
What do I enjoy drinking?
When you like whiskey or you drink cocktails?
So I think for the most part I drink cocktails because I feel cocktails is like food. Right? If you just ate chicken by itself, it doesn't. It's great, but it's not amazing. But then when you cook it with other spices and other vegetables, you get something else out of it. So it's the same as a cocktail. Drinking whiskey on its own is fine, but if you mix it around, then you create new flavors and you create new experiences. So I like cocktails. I feel cocktails, you choose cocktails based on your mood. So if I want something refreshing, then I'll get I'll get like a gin and tonic. I'll get like something with soda. If I feel like I want to have like a strong night and I want to, this is like I'm already on my third drink, then I go for like I'll go for a Manhattan. I'll go for an old fashioned something. It depends on my mood really. I feel tequila. A lot of people feel tequila is like dangerous.
Dangerous because they're binge drinking it, right?
Yeah, I mean anything you binge drink is gonna be dangerous. But like tequila, we can make a very refreshing tequila drink, and we can make a very strong tequila drink. We can make a very sour tequila drink. There's so many different things they can do with it. So, so people saying, "Oh, I just don't drink tequila." I think they don't know what you can do with tequila. Yeah.
Okay, and you're going to make us a drink?
Yes.
First demo in JANSON Radio.
Yes, yeah.
Not cooking.
I was requested by Randy, who's off camera, to.
What are you going to make, man?
So actually, speaking about the gin and tonic, growing up, I didn't like the gin and tonic. Yeah. Because I didn't like the bitterness in tonic. So
I think it's like Jakarta's favorite cocktail, no?
It is
other than Negroni.
Yes. I worked some events where you have to prepare double the amount of gin and tonics because people will just order it. But I think it's just because they're comfortable with it. Yeah. So I agree. This is just a very simple twist. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Michelle.
All right. So I guess I'll be making it now.
Yes.
Okay. Let me get my jigger.
And maybe you could explain while doing it.
Okay.
What's the difference between bartender and mixologist?
Oh, I think by definition, mixologists are bartenders because because you are working with alcohol and you're working there. Some people would say bartender means you have to work at a bar. Yeah. Okay, so maybe a mixologist doesn't work at a bar. Oh, okay. But the idea of mixologist, if I'm correct, is that it's someone who creates recipes, someone who creates cocktails. Okay. So I'm guessing what would that be like in the food world? Like, would it be like a line cook versus a chef?
Yeah, but everybody now uses chef so lightly, so everyone can. If you are, for example, if you're a mom or an actor, you make a YouTube channel demo, and everybody's still calling you chef, whoever.
So if I can make Indomie, does that make me a chef?
Don't, but you can definitely call yourself chef. Yeah. Okay, so what gin are you using?
So I'm using Tanqueray. This is just a bottle that I had at home. Yeah. Not sponsored, but if you want to sponsor me, Diageo, please do.
Yes, please.
This is what we call a jigger. Yeah. It's a measuring device. So I like this one because it has different ridges for like the different different, like the different measurements. So I'm going to measure out. You can hold it however the way you want, but I usually hold it like this. So you pour. And so a gin and tonic typically, so I'm pouring out 60 mLs.
60 mLs.
Yeah,
nice.
So I'm pouring about 60 mLs. And so a gin and tonic is just gin and tonic, right? Yeah. And you put a bit of lime. Now, I introduce coconut water. Because I love coconut water. It's something that I like to drink as much as I like to drink water. Okay. I use hydro cocoa because it's very difficult to get fresh coconuts any time of the day. So because I use hydro cocoa, and I use also sponsored by Hydro Cocoa. If you want to sponsor us, please do.
Please.
Coconut water, what it does is that it will dilute the gin and the tonic. Yeah. And it actually cuts out the bitterness of tonic water.
Okay.
Which is cool because I don't like the bitterness of tonic water, and sometimes gin on its own doesn't. Yeah. It's not everybody's like cup of tea. But with the introduction, I can just do this. Yeah. With the introduction of coconut water, it kind of rounds off the flavor. Okay. And to me, I like it better because it cuts out that bitterness, and it just makes it more palatable for a lot of people.
Okay.
This was actually something that I brought to India. When I went to India in March, I did a workshop there. Okay. Wow. Where? Yeah. I did it outside of Delhi. There's a bar there. I was working with the beverage company Taliho. Okay. And it's cool. So I was on holiday there, and they were like, "Hey, do you want to do a workshop with us?" I'm trying to find one of them that's pretty. They were like, "Hey, do you want to do a workshop with us? That'll be, we can provide the alcohol and we can provide the people. Just come over and check it out." Yeah. So I did this workshop, and I brought 4 different cocktails. Yeah. Using Indonesian ingredients.
Okay. So this is kemangi.
Yes. Yeah. So it's this is just used as a garnish. Yeah. It doesn't really.
Oh, I thought you were going to like muddle it.
Oh no, I think in terms of how much work that is. I think so. We kind of just do that, and you want to give the flavors there. But I think this is also to give it some color because this is. Oh wait, I gotta stir it first just a bit. So we want to stir it a bit.
Why do bartenders
do that?
this?
Because by doing that, you kind of release the
oil,
the aroma, the oils and the aromas.
Okay.
That helps it. I wish I had some prettier one. Hero didn't have any, but that's okay. So we just stick that in just a bit, and this one's dead. Let me find a nicer one. And so what the basil does is that it just gives you it gives you a sensory, you know, like the smell of it before you get into it. This. Yeah. I'm very bad at garnishing, so this is my weakness here.
Yeah, but I think. Do you have some people like traditionalists like gin and tonic doesn't use kemangi?
I feel honestly with alcohol, like Burger King, you have it your way. I think for people to tell you how to drink, it's really not their business, but it's also like we enjoy alcohol and food in different ways, right? You know, like I like my gin and tonic with coconut water. Okay. If you don't like it, then don't put the coconut water.
Right. All right, man.
Cheers.
Thank you, Tariq.
Yeah, you're welcome.
For success and prosperity. Oh yeah, you're right. It cuts the
bitterness,
the bitterness, and sometimes like the harshness of the gin.
Yeah, I mean, I found the right recipe for myself because I don't like it's not my favorite, like the traditional gin and tonic recipe, but with coconut water, it kind of just.
It's awesome. It's awesome.
Thank you.
Really good. Really
I'm
good.
glad you enjoyed it. I'll make some for you guys later.
And okay. Yeah. Do you have? Sorry, but it's good. Okay, so next topic is going to be like the Jakarta Dessert Week.
Yeah.
Because I heard you're doing something with them also.
Yes.
But I'm curious, like, how do you incorporate mixology with dessert?
Yeah. So Jakarta Dessert Week on the 19th of October. So towards the end of it, I'll be working with Four Seasons, and so I will be working with them to create a dessert and cocktail pairing menu.
Oh, okay.
So we'll have 3 different desserts, and I'll make 3 different cocktails, and you're supposed to eat those desserts and drink the cocktails at the same time.
Oh, okay.
And the way that it works is that actually dessert is quite difficult to use. I mean, like to pair with,
right?
Because desserts are usually sweet and like they're very they are kind of one note, right? So what you end up doing with the cocktails is you try to complement those flavors and you kind of bring out those flavors itself. I did work with Ardika, who you had previously. So the two of us worked together and we made a dessert and cocktail pairing menu where he had like a dessert that had flavors of yuzu. So like I also use yuzu. He had flavors of jasmine, so I also use jasmine. So it's a nice compliment to them, and like
the right thing to pair like French chefs told me this long time ago, like it's the perfect pairing where you forgot what is your drink and what is your food. Like it's the perfect combination.
It's not easy, and it definitely needs a lot more work than food. When I did the food pairing, it was a lot more simple, but it really is. They work better together. They work great on their own, but they're gonna work better together because it's either the drink enhances the flavor of a certain ingredient in the dessert, or like if the dessert is too creamy, then you have something that kind of cleans your palate and something that washes it down. I am planning to. I mean, I'm hoping. I'm waiting for like the recipes, but I'm planning to make like a warm cocktail. Yeah, so like maybe like something like a hot toddy or like something with tea, because that might be nice for something that's very creamy, something to help wash down that.
I don't think Indonesia ever like. I never saw one menu like hot cocktails.
Hot cocktails.
Or maybe mulled wine in Christmas.
Mulled wine. I love mulled wine actually. So I mean, yes. In this heat and this tropics, I mean, this kind of climate, it doesn't make sense to make a hot drink, but we have air conditioning. Yeah. So when things get cold, then you make something warm.
So what's the most interesting, in your point of view, that you've made? Like what ingredients you use?
Oh, the most interesting ingredient that I use, like if we say unnatural ingredient would have been, so I did this thing with the cocktail where we redistilled coffee. So
how does it work?
You know, like a rotovape machine.
Yeah, rotovape.
You know, the one that costs as much as the car.
Yes.
Yeah. So I borrowed one, and what we did was we redistilled the coffee. So we took all the aromas and all the flavors out of
and
it.
it becomes like
and
water clear, right?
Clear. Yeah. So it was very trippy because it smells like coffee.
Yeah. I want that machine.
It tastes like it's a car rotovape, right? So it smelled like coffee. It tasted a bit like coffee, but it was clear. And that was such a crazy thing to use because I don't have access to it a lot, but fortunately I was able to borrow one. But I think I would say that would be the craziest thing that I've used. Yeah.
Nice. You use it like where, in a party or in a
So I used
takeover?
it actually when I did the pairing with We.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
So his final dessert was like a chocolate coffee-ish kind of.
Okay.
I mean, like dessert. So I made this drink. It was white rum, coconut rum, and this distilled coffee. So everything was clear, but you taste coffee.
All right.
And
that's
cool.
interesting.
Yeah, I called it the Clear Brew.
The Clear Brew.
Yeah,
oh,
Clear
good name.
Brew, yeah.
Good name.
So
cool. For our listeners, how you can tell us, like, how do you appreciate cocktail?
How do you appreciate cocktails? I think
because most of my friends they like sweet cocktails.
Yeah. I feel it's the same with food. You need to know the balance, and you need to find the right balance for you. I generally like drinks a bit sweeter. Okay. My girlfriend, on the other hand, she doesn't like drinks so sweet. So I would be the one with, like, they would say the lady cocktail, and she would be the one with the more, gentleman cocktail. But I don't believe that there's a gender. Yeah. Like, I mean, like, you can't genderize cocktails, but it's just what we are taught to enjoy. Yeah. So how do we appreciate cocktails? One is
like if you walk into a cocktail bar. Yeah. Like what?
Yeah. So the first thing to do is, I would say, sit at the bar. Talk to the bartender. Don't. Yes. The waiters might know, but most likely it's better get it straight from the people who will be making it.
Yes, of course.
And look at the menu and read the ingredients. Don't simply look at the name, because it's
always has cute names now. Yeah, signature drinks.
Everything has cute names. And look at the ingredients and find which ingredients you like. Because if you like an ingredient in there, you're most likely gonna like the drink. Okay. And then the next way is you order it and you watch them make it, because it's very interesting the way that they make it, the way that they shake it and they garnish it, and then sip it. Sip and enjoy. Ask questions. That's how you appreciate, because you're not simply appreciating the cocktails, you're appreciating the bartender, the people that make it. Okay. Because I've designed cocktails from scratch, and it's a long process. Okay. You do R&D. It's sometimes the name comes first. Sometimes the ingredients are like, I want to use Rosella, so let me make some stuff with Rosella. And I've made cocktails where I have to go through 5 different versions just to make it perfect. And there's a lot of work, and because it's all behind the scenes, customers don't see that and they don't appreciate it. If you really knew what went behind, it's the same as the chefs, right? Yeah, but now chefs have a lot of attention. You know, you have a lot of shows. Like I love, like Chef's Table. All these shows bring that to life. But bartenders are still, I feel, underappreciated because they don't get that exposure, and you don't see what happens. But it's in front of you, but people don't actually look at the bar. Yeah, a lot of like countries, like alcohol is taboo, like you say. Alcohol is taboo, and I don't blame alcohol. I blame the people drinking the alcohol. Yeah. Right. Yeah. I mean, if we misuse something, then it's gonna get banned. Yes. And like that's what it's been, and I have misused it. So I'm not saying that I've been perfect about it, but now rarely do I actually overdrink and I binge drink, because one, it's expensive, the payoff sucks. You might have some great stories, but if you want a good story, go read a book, honestly. Right? And it's growing. It's slow. I see it growing, and I see more and more people getting into it.
It's growing. I mean, what? Like even 2 years ago, if you open a speakeasy bar place, like in a year it turns to be a club.
Yeah.
right? Usually
Actually,
it goes like that, right? But now it's like AA,
Yep.
it will never turn into a club, right?
Yeah, and
Hopefully, at least hopefully.
Hopefully, and knowing the people behind it, I don't think it'll happen.
Yes, yes. So give us some tips, like best cocktails in Jakarta. Where you want?
That one's
Right.
tough. I would say,
I enjoy like usually
Yeah.
like I drink like old fashioned
Yeah.
or like Negroni or whatever. But
Yeah.
I've started to like explore,
Okay.
like try the signature cocktails, and I really enjoy. In Cock and Screw Country Club, they
Yeah.
have the pandan and jackfruit.
I
That
like
was awesome.
actually the pandan is very good. The pandan is
awesome.
actually one of my favorite drinks from Cork and Screw
Yeah.
Country Club. Do you like coffee?
Yes.
So if you like coffee, then go to Journal House because like they have a lot of coffee cocktails. They have
And you told me before the
Jacob.
Yes.
Yeah.
Please tell our listeners.
Okay, so right now, because I've been following him closely, there's an Indonesian bartender named Jacob Manurung, and so he works for Journal House and Ismaya. So he was earlier this year, he won the Indonesia's round of World Class, which is this huge bartending competition where so he's earned his place amongst 55 different bartenders from across the world, and right now they are competing in Scotland.
Wow.
And they have to go through a series of challenges, and it's tough because you have to be creative and you have to work with spirits and you have to work with new ingredients. But from what I've been seeing is that he's been doing very well. So if you can catch him, you can catch him on YouTube. If you just type up World Class.
Yeah, we'll share the link later. Yeah.
And he actually was broadcasted today at 4.
Okay.
And so he made
he's doing a class or?
No, so it's a competition. So because they have 55 I think they have 55 bartenders. Because they have that many bartenders, they cannot feature everyone on TV.
Yeah.
So
but they feature Jacob.
Yeah, I think every day they are gonna go through different people. So like everybody gets a spotlight. So it was really cool. He was wearing batik, and they asked him about the batik, and he made a drink. I'm trying to remember what the thing was, but he had like this old kind of pot or this kind of vessel where he put the singleton in, and then he kind of just let it sit there for a while. So that changed the flavor of the drink because of what's inside. Right?
Yes.
And so shout out to him and shout out to the people supporting him. I hope that he makes it all the way because Indonesia really, we have such talented bartenders, but we really need to get on that world stage, and we really need to be able to do that exposure.
Mr. Jacob Manurung, congratulations first and good luck.
Yeah.
We hope you win.
He's going to get a kick out of this, but that's great. Yeah, thanks.
You know the guy.
Yeah, and I've known him for the last 2 years. So,
Okay. Did the bartenders gather together and hang out and visit? Like we do, chefs do a lot. We go out and eat.
Well, yes.
The bartenders go out and drink.
They go out to drink, but what is a shame is that the bartenders here cannot afford their own drinks.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
And that's a shame because they make such amazing drinks, but then if you turn it around, they can't go to their own bar and buy their own drinks. They can, but it wouldn't make sense for them economically to spend that much money on.
It's like being a sommelier here in Indonesia.
Yeah.
Like a lot of wine they are trying to sell.
Yeah.
But they haven't tried it yet because it's so expensive, right?
Yeah, and I feel that is the reason why we're not growing as fast too, because it's expensive and they're underpaid.
Yes, and lower the tax.
Lower the tax, pay bartenders more.
Yeah.
Right, I'm saying this now.
All right.
The owners will kill me.
And so what is your next project?
So the next project that I have coming up is, so I have the Jakarta Dessert Week coming up on October 19th.
So wait, are you going to be like in 4 season, like for the whole 2 weeks?
Yeah.
Oh,
so no, I'm only gonna be there for that day. So I'm sure that before this you would have this. I mean, you will have Tria talk about it. But the process is they have different events and like different kind of collaborations for Jakarta Dessert
is it going to be day by day?
Yeah, so it will be day by day. I'll be at Four Seasons only on the 19th.
Okay.
So it's just a one-day thing. If I'm not mistaken, it's in the evening, and we will do the pairing for I think 2 or 3 hours, depending on what we end up planning on. So that's happening on the 19th. But before that, I am going to be in Jakarta Culinary Festival.
Okay, yeah.
And because that's coming up next
weeks,
week.
I think.
Yeah, it's coming up on the 3rd. So I'll be doing a masterclass there. I'm going to be teaching about cocktail photography. So if you're interested in any kind of cocktail
photography.
Yeah, drink photography. So like you know how we have food photography, we have the same concept for like drink photography. So you can check out my Instagram. This is a shameless plug. At @sip_sensei, because that's a lot of examples of cocktail photography is there.
Great content. Follow.
It was cool. You might find a drink that you're interested in, and you'll know where the bar is.
Yes.
So I'm doing that, and on the 6th, there's gonna be an after party in AA.
Yes.
And I'm gonna be one of how many of us? There's 6. There about one of 9 bartenders, and these are bartenders. These are guys way above my. They are so talented. They are from different parts of Asia. We have Sean from Kuala Lumpur. We have David Ong from the Philippines. We have Michael Callahan. We have Simone Rossi, and like we have all these different guys coming for one night. So it's gonna be we're gonna start at 7:00. So I have the 7:00 shift, 7 to 8, and then we will just tap out. So I will go for 1 hour, then the next person will go for another hour. So if you want a real good party, that's gonna be on the 6th Sunday at AA. I know it's a Sunday.
Yeah.
But you go hard or go home.
So you're going to be Jakarta Dessert Week. You're going to on the 19th.
Yeah.
Okay. Make sure we come.
Yeah. On 19th.
Take note. 19th October.
19th of October.
Go to Four Seasons.
Four Seasons, and it will be a really cool experience. You will experience desserts and cocktails in a way that you may have never done before, and definitely I'll be looking forward to like meeting people and like talking to people about it.
Yes.
Right? I mean, like that personal touch is what's most important also.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, Tariq, thank you very much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Sorry. Thank you very much.
No, of course.
Interesting stories.
And cheers.
Guys, don't forget to subscribe to JANSON Radio Podcast. We are on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify. And don't forget to click the bell icon and subscribe. Follow Tariq at @sip_sensei, @sip_sensei. And if you want to talk to him, you can DM him straight away.
Yep. Anything about bars or cocktails, please do. I have people messaging me.
Any more shameless plug?
Shameless plug? No, but I hope to see you at the next couple of events, and I definitely want to see you on the 19th.
Okay. And drink responsibly.
Drink responsibly, definitely.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.